Oh boy, somebody's been busy. That's not the topic of today's video. Today's video is engine performance. See, the big old brown honey wagon wasn't running too great. So we're going to go out and take a look at it and explain what I've all done to it and make it run better. The best it's run in all of its life. This is how your truck should be running. Running smoothly, no hesitations or misses, no rough idles or anything like that. But what the old brown truck was suffering from wasn't any of that. It was a lack of maintenance. Look at that rotor. It's pitted, burned, corroded, and just plain shot. And this distributor cap isn't much better. See all that in there? See that white crap? And see how the central lead is burned? Yeah, so I fixed that. Delco Ramney. This was the original distributor cap after 17 years. So anyway, after doing the spark plugs and spark wires, I got it all running good again, but I ran into one problem. When I was putting everything back, I had some plug wires mismatched. So my truck was chuffing. That's the problem that I ran into. And what my truck was doing was chuffing. I don't know if you can see that or not. But as you can tell, it isn't running very right. You got a couple misses in it, shakes. And a little tip of anybody who decides to tackle this project themselves. This thing's plastic, okay? It's very brittle when it's 17 years old. So, those screws, one here, one there, are captive. They won't fall out no matter what you do to it, okay? However, if you crank it down, if you crank the screws down a little too tight onto the base of the distributor assembly, you'll crack this plastic. And I did that in one. Not bad. I just started flaking off this ridge here to keep the moisture and dirt out. But don't do that. Just a little before snug is all you need to make sure that this distributor cap won't come flying off when you're crushing little Nissans or Toyota hybrids with your big Chevy truck. I knew it was hungry. It's got its mouth open. Too bad you don't have a little Honda to feed it. Remember the other day when I was talking about the wood splitter we got? My dad and I picked up at Menards last week. Well, we were idiots, he and I. We didn't have the thing set up right, you see. This hydraulic ram has these ears here, one here and one here, and they sit in this bracket back here. We couldn't figure that out, so the butt of the ram was sitting right here on this piece of metal, and we were splitting some wood. As you can tell over there's some split rotten-ass wood. So we're going along merrily. Suddenly we hear this pop, crack, and we shut it off, start looking around. Well, what happened was we broke the welds on this plate of metal here. So just as an emergency repair, Bizarre Foothead and I took it out to the farm last night and cleaned the metal off, and then he arc welded a couple welds back onto that plate of metal so it would support this hydraulic ram when it's in the proper position and all that. And then he came back, cleaned off all the arc welds or whatever, cleaned up the metal down to bare metal and painted it primer gray, and then he's going to come back later and paint it black. So just a quick update on a wood splitter. If anybody would like the information and details on how to do a tune-up on your Chevy truck, I'm not talking about aftermarket stuff, anything like that. I'm just talking about original OEM equipment. Replacing the distributor cap, running new spark plug wires, spark gap on spark plugs, firing sequences, all that stuff. Any helpful tips to help you do an overhaul or a tune-up or whatever you want to call it, let me know in the comments below the video, and I'll make a video on how I did that and what to do and what not to do. There's the old cold forgotten pink Buick over there. I'm going to do a cold start of that maybe this weekend. And anyway, the big old brown piece of junk, took it out today to the grocery store, and I've got a wiggle in my front wheel, in my steering, on the steering wheel. Got a pretty bad shimmy going down the highway, doing about 30, 40 mile an hour, and I had a UXW Bill with me, because he's always said that he can feel the looseness in the rear end of the truck, because my leaf springs are broken. Well, one's broken, the other one is semi-broken, if you want to get nitty-gritty about it. Anyway, I'm going to get the truck in the air later, and if I feel like pulling it in there. And I'm going to jack it up and look at the inner tie rods, the ball joints, and maybe the, let's see. I've done this outer tie rod. I'll check that one on the driver's side and try to figure out what the problem is that's making my shimmy, making my steering wheel shimmy. It could just be the tires. I mean, I think they're maybe 6 months to a year. It shouldn't be the tires, but remember this guy? 7-liter Cadillac V8? I bet you do. Anyway, what was going on with this fella is my dad started to charge that battery, and the old cheap Chinese Schumacher charger kept saying bad bat. So I came out here, take a look at things, maybe steal the battery out of my truck over there, and I popped the caps off the battery, and it had no water in it. And, you know, he was putting about, I don't know, 2 to 10 amps in the old battery. So we go get some water and fill up the battery and try to charge it again. And the battery's still no good. So I'm afraid that I'm going to have to get the battery out of my truck or my car so we can crank up this old Cadillac. Check all the fluids, fill the radiator if we need to, you know, that sort of thing. And get it in the garage over there so it's out of the weather. That's just a quick update on the old Cadillac. We're going to fix it one of these days, but let's see if we got any dome lights right now. Oh, we got some. Barely. I wonder if she'll crank over. I have my doubts. I don't, well, they're dim. Kind of, well. Nothing. Look at that. 91,728 miles. 29 miles. Check out the door on that car. That door itself probably weighs as much as one of these new compact cars does. Right, turn the key off. Key's off. You gotta shut that door with some force, it won't shut right.